Hey everyone, this is Cindy with Creating with the Heart, and today I'm sharing some Disney cards along with some tips for cutting Disney cartridges. Right now on my blog, I am sharing a Disney card each Friday, and I'm also sharing different videos that I've made from Disney cards on YouTube. So today is about Disney tips. There's the usual stuff like making sure that you use a clean mat. That's important. Make sure that you slow down your speed. That's also important. But some of the other tips that I found that might help you, because there are so many little pieces with the Disney cartridges, it can be very overwhelming, and it can be a pain to recut, um, and just frustrating. It really can be frustrating using these cartridges. So my first tip is to try and make your image as large as you can and still fit your project. That is a big one, because the larger the image, obviously the bigger the pieces, and be easier to use. So this is a regular A2 size card, but you can see that I made my Mr. Incredible as large as I can. He's about 5 inches, and that's really as big as can fit on this card because he's also kind of a little wide also. So I made him as big as I possibly could and still fit him on a regular size card. That is one of the main tips, is make them as large as you can. When you make a Disney card, you want the people who are getting the card to obviously recognize the characters. Why you're giving it to them for some reason is because you identify the character with that person, or maybe the sentiment that goes with it, or maybe there's characteristics. But it can be the star of the show, so you don't always need a lot of other stuff when you're doing these types of licensing cartridges. So he's nice and big. For a even larger size card, I did a 6x6. I normally do not do odd sized cards simply because I don't like mailing them. I have to go to the post office, or I have to put extra postage, and I just don't have time for that. However, this card is going to be hand delivered. It's the card that I made to give to my brother and his new wife for their wedding. And this is a 6x6 card, and my Mickey and Minnie are pretty good size. I believe that they are 5.5 inches. So I made them quite large. They were much easier to work with. I could even use the white part for their eyes. It was big enough for me to use. So this was really a good size. I normally don't make my Mickey Minis this big because I like to use regular size cards. But this particular card, I knew I was going to be hand delivering it, so I went ahead and made it this large. This is another card that's going to be hand delivered, but this is a regular A2 size card, and you can see that my Queen of Hearts is pretty much as large as can fit on this card and still work. And that was really helpful. I still had to do some other work on this card to make it all work, because some of the pieces were quite small, and I'm going to go into my next tip. My next tip for you is your white gel pen and your black pen and your stickles are going to be your friend. They can really not only embellish your cut, but they can fill in the areas that just didn't cut properly. So for example, my queen, these eyes did not cut at all. So what I did was I used my white gel pen to color it in. And some of the cuts looked a little rough. So I used my stickles to kind of brighten and embellish my cut, and also cover up some of the areas where the cuts were a little bit rough. The earrings and the crown were a little rough, and I did those in gold. And the red, even though it cut nicely, it really kind of detracted from any other rough areas, such as the fingers for this cut. And I think that really helped a lot make this look a good card. On Mr. Incredible, this part right here, the belt and the hair were all very rough cuts, so I embellished with my stickles, and that really helped brighten it up as well. And this is another one where I could not in any way use the white that cut out for his eyes, so I used my white gel pen, and that helped a lot. I used quite a bit of white doodling on Alice. That really helped Alice a lot because it didn't cut real clean, but I think that it kind of detracts from that, and I think it helps brighten up the cut as well. So it helps embellish your cuts. It also helps kind of cover up any mistakes that you have. The last tip that I have for you is that if you are working with a cartridge where there are a lot of layers, I'm talking like more than 5 layers, you might want to try cutting them in sections. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll cover my base layer, which I always cut in black because black really helps these Disney cuts. And then I would do just sort of piece it together. So I might not do her hair or her face until the end. So I might work on her clothing first and then cut the other pieces that I need. And the reason why I do that is a couple reasons. One is some pieces are small and you want to be careful that you don't like lose them, misplace them, drop them. The other is sometimes things don't cut well, and to ease your frustration, it's easier to recut 1 or 2 pieces versus all your cuts. If you lay out all your paper and you've got like 9 or 10 different colors there and it doesn't cut well, you're gonna have to recut all of that, and that could be really frustrating. I've had that problem with the cartridges. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed looking at some of my Disney cards, and I hope that you take the time to make some Disney cards of your own. And if you do, be sure to visit my blog and leave me a comment so I can visit your blog and check out what you're doing. Let me go ahead and show you the cards once again. This is my Alice in Wonderland card. It's an odd-sized card. It's 6 by 5.5, and that's from the Disney Classics. This is my Mr. Incredible, which is from the Best of Pixar. This is also from Disney Classics. This is my Red Queen. And the sentiment and the paper just, I think, really helps this card too. And this is actually going to be a card for my mom for her birthday. And my brother's wedding card, which is from Mickey and Friends. Thanks so much for checking me out today. I hope that you enjoyed looking at Disney today, and I'll